All right, so here we are in Unit 1, which is our review unit. Lesson 1, adding and subtracting decimals. After today's lessons, you should be able to add decimals, subtract decimals, and solve problems involving adding and subtracting decimals. All right, so when we add decimals, there's 4 easy steps that we should follow. 1, line up the decimals. So when we add numbers, we always line up the place value. It's the same thing when it comes to adding decimals. In this case, if you line up this decimal, that'll help you actually line up your place values. So if we line up our decimals here, we have 9 and 7 tenths, 9 and 7 tenths, 9 and 3 tenths, and 9 and 45 hundredths. Now, even though this 5 is lined up by itself, that's okay because the later steps will tell us how to remedy that. Step 2, fill in those blank spaces with zeros. So now, even though 5 went one space further, I can just add zeros here, and that doesn't change the value of that decimal or that number at all. All right, and after I've added those decimals, I can go ahead and add or subtract. In this case, I'm adding. So I know that I get 5. 7 and 3 is 10, plus 7 is 17, plus 4 is 21, carry the 2, 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38. So we get 38, and then over here we would get 15. The last step, because this is not 3,815, that last step is to bring that decimal straight down. So we carry that decimal straight down and we get 38 and 15 hundredths. Again, we have to make sure to line up those place values when we add and subtract, so that way we're adding and subtracting like pieces. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and give this a shot together. So I have 1 and 8 tenths plus 2 tenths. I'm going to put this together vertically because it's a little bit easier for me, so I line up the decimals. So it's decimal 2, so here's my decimal, here's my 2, and my 0 is here. So again, this is in the ones place, and so is the 1, so these two should line up. And here we have the tenths and the tenths. Okay, and then I'm adding, so when I add these, I can actually bring my decimals straight down right away if I want to so I don't forget. And that way it helps me keep my numbers nice and straight. That's why keeping your numbers nice and neat is very important in math. Otherwise, you're going to end up with numbers in incorrect columns. So we have 8 plus 2 is 10. Put the 0 down, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So I know that 1 and 8 tenths plus 2 tenths is 2. In this case, 4 is in the ones place and it doesn't have a decimal, and then 0 is in the ones place. So the 4 and the 0 have to line up. Well, think about 4. So if I have $4, my decimal goes at the end of the 4 and then I add my change. Or think about a sentence. A period always comes at the end of the sentence. Well, when a decimal is not already placed in a number for you, it comes at the end of the number. So in this case with 4, my decimal comes at the end or behind the 4. So here's my 0 and 7 tenths. Again, I'm going to add this 0 because it wasn't there before, so I'm putting that 0 in there. And then this tells me to subtract, so I'm going to subtract. And then it's the same thing. I borrow, so 10 minus 7 is 3. I bring down that decimal. 3 minus 0 is 3. So 4 minus 7 tenths is 3 and 3 tenths. Notice I'm saying the decimals correctly. You need to make sure to practice that on your own as well. Okay, so what I'd like you to do at this point is go ahead and pause and try these two on your own and then come back and check your answer. And then we'll have more to go through after that. All right, so here you should have ended up with 21 plus 16 and 52 hundredths. So you added these two zeros, bring that decimal down. So you should have gotten 37 and 52 hundredths. And then 13 and 9 thousandths minus 11 and 90 hundredths. So I place that 0 on the end. 9 minus 0 is 9. 0 minus 0 is 0. Can't do 0 minus 9, so I borrow from the 3 and it becomes a 2. 10 minus 9 is 1. Bring down that decimal. 2 minus 1 is 1. So my answer here is 1 and 109 thousandths. All right, so you do have a chance. If you struggle with those, please make sure to go back and try those again. These would be the ones, so where you see we try, these would be the ones that you will want to put into your notes for sure, so that way you have a couple examples. And then here where it says you try, these are the problems that you're going to do on your own. And this is where when you go on to Socrative and take that post test, these are the problems that you are solving. So you have an opportunity to see them in the video, try them, and then fill the answers in on the Socrative quiz. Again, that code will be given to you either in this video, through email, or in class, so make sure that you're watching for that code. And as always, if you have any questions, make sure to write them down, email them to me, and that way we can go over them right away in class tomorrow.